WKYT Investigates analysis of state police crash data found that over the last 3 years, Fayette County has averaged the state's highest rate of collisions involving pedestrians, with Jefferson County following closely behind.
Anytime someone is hurt on our transportation network, that's a point of concern for us.
Chris Avila is the director of the Lexington Area Metropolitan Planning Organization. He told me several weeks ago he doesn't like seeing Fayette County at the top of that list, but says part of the story here is an active level of pedestrian and bicycling activity that does create more opportunities for people to get hit.
Unlike a car, we don't have crumple zones. We're not wearing a helmet necessarily like a bicyclist might be. And so we're vulnerable. And so basically for pedestrians, we're trying to eliminate those types of crashes altogether. Or if something does happen, that'd be a low speed type thing.
Overall, he says those numbers in Lexington are trending down over the past decade. Meanwhile, across Kentucky, pedestrian fatalities have been trending up. In 2012, federal statistics show 49 people were killed after being hit by a car. That number has been as high as 91 in 2020. The number in 2021 was 75. Now, according to a KSP analysis in its annual collision facts report, 10% of deadly crashes in 2021 involved pedestrians. The most common pedestrian factors included walking in the roadway, wearing dark clothes, and not being visible. For drivers, most were traveling straight ahead. Experts say speed and driver distractions are also big factors.
Walk sign is on to cross. East, fine.
Planners say the 3 E's, engineering, education, and enforcement, all play a role in reducing crash numbers.
It's not just that from an engineering standpoint the road is safe, it's that people feel safe and comfortable using these facilities. And how do we get to that point?
9 of Kentucky's 120 counties did not have any reported crashes involving pedestrians over that full 3-year span we looked at. And they are spread throughout the state, but they are all in more rural areas. The average population of those 9 counties, fewer than 10,000 people. But we should note it's not always just a case of population, so you might want to check out our interactive graphic in this story on WKYT.com. Just click on the WKYT Investigates tab.